first time I sharpened a one-man crosscut saw, I thought I didn't have a gauge to fit it. So I ended up making one just so that I could have one on hand. Later I found out that I had a gauge all along.
This is a little gauge I made for setting the raker teeth. The raker teeth on the saw are designed to be 15 thousandths below the points of the crosscut teeth. That way the crosscut teeth go through as little knives and strike a line on either side, so that when the ripsaw teeth come through, they shave out the material between the two knife blade marks left by the crosscuts. The way I set the gauge is I take a 15 thousandths feeler gauge and I slip it between the contact points. Take two fingers, hold against the pads, take my thumb and push on the centerpiece, and that draws this all up so that there's a little drag on the feeler gauge. Don't want too much because you'll bend the feeler gauge. Then I just snug those up. Check it to make sure that the feeler gauge still goes through there. Yep. Now I've got a 15 thousandths gap, and I'll tighten those screws up and then double check it one more time just to make sure that the feeler gauge goes in and out. Now we're set. I've never sharpened this crosscut saw, and you can tell that because the raker teeth are too high. Then I can take my gauge using the file. File off the raker teeth until they're 15 thousandths below the surface. And I take my file and I take that edge and file it down. Until the little flat on the end of the raker tooth is gone. Now that raker tooth is 15 thousandths below the point of the crosscut teeth on either side of it. The knife-shaped tooth, this one will slice through on this side, that one will slice through on that side, so that this one slices, that one slices, raker comes through. On the return stroke, this one slices, that one slices, raker comes through. That's how you sharpen a one-man crosscut saw.
The little gauge that I made out of some scrap aluminum angle that I had laying around. It's about 1/8 inch thick, and they're 3/4 inches wide on each leg. Because you're going to run a file across the top of it, and it sets against the points of the crosscut teeth, I put some broken off hacksaw blades onto the surfaces so that they wouldn't wear through. I just cut them off with a grinder and glued them on with some super glue. Works pretty good. If you needed one of these gauges and didn't have a way to make one, if you need one of these gauges and don't have a way to buy one, then a little gauge like this will work just fine. You can see from the pictures that it's pretty simple in design. There's no real measurements on it because I just used what I had as far as scrap, and what you may have around could be entirely different. The movable pad that the file rides across to set the depth of the raker tooth is on the outside, and that's put there just so that I could have the screw heads on the fixed part on the inside, but I had to file the screw heads off to get them so that it would set against the saw blade correctly. And these are all things that I just made choices on as I was going along, and not necessarily a thing that you have to do, but this is just kind of give you an idea of what you can do if you don't have what you wanted. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please click like. You can always subscribe to Old Sneelock Workshop and get a chance to see all the videos as they come out. Thanks again. See you on the next video.